Right. So let's add it back in. That's sounding much better now. It was really bad. So, right. So that's what we're. Right. Okay. So, we were just talking about this sort of the Windows Phone stuff. You mentioned about the video upload, this sort of camera uploading and things. It was kind of a weird event in some respects, wasn't it? Because they still didn't really show off Windows Phone properly when you got to see a few features.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had this event earlier in the summer where they showed off, I think, kind of 5 or 6 key developer features, which was kind of interesting, but didn't really pique my excitement the same way that the original Windows Phone announcements did. And and then yeah, as you say, there was a Samsung announcement last week with the Ativ, where they weren't even allowed to have the phone on. And then, as you say, then there was a Nokia announcement this week where yes, they were allowed to show the phone running, and they had some Microsoft staff on hand to show off, maybe a couple of new features, and they did some demonstrations. But yeah, other than that, there was kind of very little. They said that they've still got new announcements to come where they were going to show off all the consumer features. But yeah, there was no ship dates, there was no carrier details, no country details where the phones were going to get launched. And I just, I think I said to you on an email today, I was kind of really struggling to get excited as much as I, really want a 920 and really looking forward to what Windows Phone 8 has. There's nothing really concrete about the operating system or what's new in the operating system that to get me excited and to talk about. And that's why I struggled to write posts on TDL, because I'm not really sure what to say, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because it was really a hardware launch, so it definitely wasn't a software launch.
No, and it's almost, it kind of goes back to the Surface announcement where they built up all this excitement and interest, and then they just don't seem to be able to capitalize on it because they have to tread around all the OEMs and all the partners and everything that doesn't feel like there's any momentum building. Doesn't feel like they're not, Nokia, who, let's face it, are still in desperate trouble and really need a big boost. A pre-order page that people could have actually taken that initial excitement and put their name down. It just would have helped to know when these devices are coming.
Yeah, I think that's what they needed to do. They needed a coordinated launch with the carriers. Maybe this was what will happen, and that was just a hardware thing for Nokia. But maybe what they need is a coordinated launch with the carriers. Nokia, maybe Samsung, and have a big event and say, right, okay, these are the phones. This is Windows Phone 8, and this is what it costs, and this is when you can buy it. And that's what will happen tomorrow at the Apple event.
Yeah, exactly. And and we see every time there is an iPhone announcement, people struggling to get on the website and get pre-orders, and you hear like 100 million iPhones pre-ordered, and that's kind of that's definitely what Nokia needs, and it's certainly what Windows Phone needs. It needs a place for people to get excited and people to know when these things are coming, and for enthusiasts like me to be able to grab hold of that information and start evangelizing for it.
Yeah, exactly. They really did. I think I do feel for Nokia because Microsoft just weren't ready for whatever reason, and they didn't allow Nokia really to go to town with it. Because as we know, it's not just hardware, it's not just software, it's the combination of hardware, software, and services that make that make a good platform. So that they really do need to have that coordinate. They need to have that coordinated launch, and I think Nokia were hamstrung by Microsoft on that. I did hear that they weren't even allowing the tech press that were at the launch to even have a go on the phone. Never mind to review it.
Yeah, but I think a few people managed to get some very, very short hands-on time with it. But yeah, as you say, they because they didn't want people to discover new features or find maybe some potential bugs, because as far as we know, it still hasn't RTM'd. So yeah, and it's I mean, going back to the summer event where they announced one of the things was the fact that VoIP applications can register as background services and just little things like that. there's still very little that shows you that Windows Phone has grown up, since Windows Phone 7, and is really ready to compete. And it's that information that we need, because I'm sure there's some great things coming, but at the moment there's nothing that makes it stand out and say, look, for the last couple of years we've kind of been limping along on an old operating system that wasn't really able to do what we want it to do, but now we've got Windows 8, and look, these are all the amazing new features that you've been begging for, and this is what we've thought we'd add. And because there was, at the original Windows Phone announcement, I feel there was some huge innovations. Yes, it's certainly not turned out to be everything we would have hoped it would have been, but it clearly showed how they'd thought differently. And and even Mango to a certain degree introduced some new concepts like integrated social networking and all those sort of things. And for now we're still left wanting more, and which is fine if you can build up interest like Apple do, but Microsoft aren't Apple, and I don't think we want them to be Apple, but that they just seem to have this veil of secrecy at the moment. I really don't see where the benefits are.
No, I suppose we'll all find out, and we all go, that's why they did it at the October 27th or whatever the launch date is for Windows Phone 8. Although I suspect we probably won't we won't go, that's why they did it, but you never know.
Yeah. And I know apparently there's a big event on the October 29th. I don't know. I know Windows Phone 7 launched in Europe first about 2 or 3 weeks before it did in the US. So whether or not we'll see something similar again, that maybe they'll be out by kind of mid-October, or which we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm really, really rooting for Nokia. My first ever phone was a Nokia, as I've said many times. I really want them to succeed and come back and be relevant again. And Windows Phone 8 is really their last chance saloon.
Yeah, and I think Microsoft hindering them like they have isn't helping. Had there been a launch and a price and a pre-order, I would have been tempted myself. But that enthusiasm, I've still got it for the Surface, and I still probably will get one when they're announced. But it does try your patience a little bit, and I think in this day and age where people want the latest thing now, and if you'd have to wait till tomorrow, then they're not that bothered. Then you could easily lose out on a bit of momentum. But having said that, they are good devices with the normal consumers. Then they will be appealing. So and I think like the yellow design, it's certainly different, and it will bring people into store. So looks nice. Just we need Microsoft to come and give us the fill in the blanks really now.
Yeah, exactly. Just to respond to the chat room about the developer tools, yes, they are scheduled to be released tomorrow, but apparently it's only a limited release. It's only going to be certain people that are going to have access. And the only thing I can think of is that what they actually are maybe trying to avoid is that all these developers out there upgrade their apps for Windows Phone 8 and it's silly and stop developing for the Windows Phone 7 apps and stop adding feature to those. That's the only thing I can think of how it can even make sense that they want to keep focus on Windows Phone 7.
I mean, Rich says about Windows 7, Windows Phone 7 tools being available before device ships. Exactly right. And as we mentioned, there's going to be a new iPhone, and the iOS 6 beta has been out for a while now. So developers are going to have that in the hand. I know it's not that much difference between 5 and 6 and whatever, but still, the beta's been out before the device that it supported.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. And as has been said in the chat room, the Apple announcement tomorrow, even if the devices aren't going to ship for a few weeks, there'll be a pre-order page up. The Apple Store will go offline. Half an hour before the show starts, and we'll come back online, and they'll be ready to go, and it will just have that momentum. And people that maybe might have ordered the 920, as Richard said, we'll just go and order an iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see what Microsoft bring on in October. We'll just have to wait till then.
Yes, wait patiently. So.
Yeah, it's like with the Surface, though. I mean, the Surface was a perfect example. I would have ordered one there and then. Even if they had the pre-order page and said they're coming out in November, I would have ordered one.
Yes. And still no news whether or not they're even going to be available outside the US.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's too many things to be answered from Microsoft, and maybe it'll all come clear, but I don't know.
I like Russell's comment, between Nokia and iPhone, I'm running out of beer.
Yeah, I think you're going to run out of beer.
This is an interesting tweet from Ben Drawborough from Engadget saying it's not going to be the iPhone 5.
Yes, I remember seeing this last year, though, didn't it? It's very easy to put this thing on. I've been
It'll be the new iPhone.
Yeah, maybe that's what they'll do. In fact, that is what I would think they'll probably do. Although didn't their little announcement have a shadow of a 5 in there? You know, trying to be cryptic with it. So maybe that's what they mean. You know, they've got a 5 in there, so we'll see anyway. So. Right, okay, move on to some other topics I wanted to talk about. I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but I don't think I did actually. When I was at the Raspberry Pi user group, I showed off the Spectrum emulator, Fuse Spectrum emulator, and I did promise someone I'd write this up into a blog post. So I posted that. So if you got a Raspberry Pi, it's actually 3 steps to get the Spectrum emulator working. So I've got that up on the site, so I just wanted to mention that. And there's been a new Raspberry Pi announced this week. I don't know if you've seen that. A British Raspberry Pi.
Yes, made in Britain.
Yeah. So they announced last week a revision to the Raspberry Pi, the Rev 2 board, which has got things like changes to the GPIO pins and other sort of technical changes. But the thing that I think seemed most interesting to me was the mounting holes, which the other one didn't have, so I think that's a good thing. But as part of that, the older boards are now being made in South Wales, so it's great to see that they've managed to sort of get the finance and figures worked out so that they can sell those, made in the UK. So we've got the board designed in the UK, and with educating UK children, maybe this is what we need, the British success story.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see, technology coming to the UK to be built as opposed to technology invented in the UK going off abroad. So, yeah, it's good. I'm going to have to get myself one of these one day.
Well, if you get one now, you can get a British one.
Excellent.
We are giving a Raspberry Pi away at the user group event as well. So if anybody that's coming to the event has got a good chance of winning one of those. Now, some of the stuff I've done with the Raspberry Pi last week, over the weekend, I've been determined to get HD Home Run working with the Raspberry Pi, and I've tried. I think we talked about it last week or the week before, but I finally got it working properly. So if you've got a HD Home Run and you've got the MPEG-2 codec installed on the Raspberry Pi, you can now use it for live TV. So I've created a little video showing you how to do that. It's actually pretty simple. On a Windows machine, you run the setup for XBMC with the HD Home Run, and it creates these STRM files, and that's what the XBMC uses to choose the channel. It's actually a little text file for each channel. It just creates them automatically. So you go onto your Windows machine, you run the XBMC setup for HD Home Run, and then it creates all these files. You copy them to Raspberry Pi, and then there you go. You've got live TV on the Raspberry Pi, and I tried this and I got it working. So I've got a video up of that, and it means you can use it as a live TV box. So it's quite a nice little easy way of getting. If you've got a HD Home Run, definitely an easy way of getting it up and running with live TV.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to have one of those little devices, just taped to the back of the telly, and perfect.
Yeah, if you've got a HD Home Run that you've been using anyway. Then it, for 30 quid, you basically bring your live TV to the TV. Now, Dangler's does say not as slick as his Media Portal XBMC Raspberry Pi setup. He's absolutely right. In fact, we probably need to get him on the show to talk about that, or at least need to get a blog post about that, because I think he's got that working quite well. I'd like to get that up and running as well. But the MPEG-2 has certainly opened up a lot of possibilities on the Raspberry Pi. And just to give you an idea of the interest in the Raspberry Pi, the video that I posted last week or the week before, I think it was, about MPEG-2 and which codecs are supported, has had over 15,000 views on YouTube now.
Oh, wow.
And I think about of those 15,000, it's about 13,000 have come from the Raspberry Pi website. So it just shows you how much interest is being generated from that one product. It's amazing to see that. Yeah, with Google ad revenue on that, I think I've made 14 cents or something like that out of it. That's it.
You'll be featured on the next Google advert on the telly.
Yeah, yeah,
Like the Satchel advert.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do with my money for 15. Well, probably by the time they round up 15 cents, I might retire. You never know. Anyway, so that's good news. So, lots of good stuff on the Raspberry Pi at the moment. I'm enjoying playing about with that. Well, also related to Raspberry Pi as well was Open Elec build of XBMC. Now supports PVR and MPEG-2 support. And Dangles could probably explain to us more about the PVR stuff. But basically, it means that the PVR components in XBMC are now supported in the OpenELEC version as they are in the Raspberry MC version. All the testing I've been doing is on the Raspberry MC, but they're both very similar. So I think you should be able to produce a pretty good TV sort of extender sort of setup with the Raspberry Pi now, pretty much around what Douglas has been doing with Media Portal as your server. I'm looking to try and sort of get them into one dedicated unit, so you don't need a PC at all. But so still work to do with that. Okay, some other stuff. Oh, the big announcements have been Amazon Kindle launched, and actually not just the Kindle Fire, not just in the US but in the UK as well. I don't know if you've seen those.
Yeah, I did follow that because we've always been saying along that eventually that the Kindle Fire must come to the UK. There's still a more higher end device, isn't there? That's going to be US only.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can certainly see the price, but I still kind of struggle with the fact that the Amazon it's quite the Amazon Kindle. It's quite a dedicated device in a way, isn't it? It has a very specific purpose as opposed to being a full-on open tablet.
Well, yeah, it's Android based, but you wouldn't be able to tell that. It's been totally skinned, but I think you can have all the Amazon. It's got the Amazon App Store, so you can install most of the apps. Angry Birds, Twitter, and Facebook, and there's a browser on there as well. So I think probably everything that you do on the Nexus tablet, you can probably do on the Kindle. I don't know. Richard said we don't get the HD version. I thought we'd get the 7-inch HD model. I think we get the 7-inch standard and the 7-inch HD, but we don't get the 8.9-inch HD version, which is the kind of the iPad rival. But the prices are pretty good, aren't they? I think it was $159 for the 16 gig one, which is cheaper than the Nexus tablet, which I've got, which is $159 for the 8 gig one. So very competitive price, and if you're into the Amazon sort of ecosystem, then I think it's very good value.
Yeah, I mean, those prices, it's hard to argue against them, isn't it? I mean, I'd be interested to see, and I know Jose, he bought one of the Kindle Files, didn't he? And he didn't like the reading experience as much as he did with e-ink, but it's certainly that kind of price, a device that does more than just reading and allows you to watch, movies and videos and play games a bit. I think they look like really, really good devices, and at the end of the day, they can only be good for competition.
And we're seeing interesting price points, aren't we? It's sort of $159. That's iPod pricing, and I know that my kids at Christmas wanted iPods, and I think this would be better with something like this, a bit bigger, and it's got web browsing and the games and everything else. So I think it opens up competition at that end, but also for when we come to the Windows RT devices, if Microsoft are going to charge you sort of £400-500, assuming it comes to the UK, £400-500, then and then you've got sort of the Kindles at $159, it's going to be a hard sell, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Although I'd kind of come back to my original comment about how these are kind of they serve a specific purpose, whereas even with the Windows RT stuff, they're going to be capable of so much more, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly people, these high-end tablets like the iPad and the Surface and maybe what the other OEMs come out with, they are stretching people's budgets. And, if you're given the choice of having no tablet or having one of these, these kind of price points, you can certainly see them selling really, really well.
Mm. Yeah, Russell says that they're ad supported. I believe they are. I'm not sure about the UK version. I think it probably is. I know the US versions are.
I saw. Sorry, go on.
Go on. Sorry.
I think I saw something from Paul Thurrott today saying that for $15 you can remove the ads.
Yes, I think it was something like that. Yeah. But apparently the ads are only displayed on the lock screen when you're in the home page. Once you start doing something, they just disappear anyway.
In many ways, I know some people have take great dislike to them, but I'm not really all that fussed about the ads when they don't stop you doing what you want. I mean, for example, I wouldn't want to buy a Surface and when I'm doing Word have an advert plastered in the corner somewhere. But if they are just kind of on the lock screen or hidden away on the tiled interface like they are with the Xbox, I actually don't really find them that intrusive. If it makes the device cheaper, particularly when you're looking at something like this, I'd be inclined to kind of live with it.
Yeah, bring it on. Yeah, if you're going to get a subsidy effectively, then yeah, why not? I certainly give the option.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly, so I don't want to see banner ads in all my apps and things like that. But we are getting slowly used to it. There's so many apps in the Windows Phone marketplace that are ad supported, and and even on that small screen, I've used some of those equivalent apps, and in fact, even not bothered buying the trial because I'm quite happy to see those adverts there because I don't find them intrusive, like I say, even on that smaller screen. But I can certainly see, like Russell says, some people would rather pay the $30 and get rid of the adverts, but I think I'd rather see the devices have a lower starting price than have a higher starting price and price themselves out of the market just for the sake of a bit of advertising.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd like to. As long as you got the option, I don't think it's an issue. But around the Surface, it would be a fantastic thing if Microsoft had a 7-inch Surface at £159. I'd buy it now. I'd snatch the hands up for it.
Yeah,
because the Surface is that multi-purpose device, so you can do more with it. Or maybe what they need to do is have 7-inch devices that are more about consumption, and maybe the larger devices that the higher price point, the more of the multi-purpose device.
Yes, yeah, and I mean we still haven't seen what the Microsoft and Barnes and Noble partnerships, what's going to come out with.
Yeah,
they could be targeting the 7-inch market with either a device based on Windows Phone or a device based on Windows RT that is a Kindle style device.
Yeah, I certainly think that Amazon have done a very good strategy with their tablets, especially in the US. I think in the UK it's a bit blunted by the fact they only offer the 7-inch ones and not the 8.9, which the 8.9 is the sort of the main iPad rival. But I do like my 7-inch Nexus, and I think it's a good competitor to that. So it's interesting to hear what other sort of non-technical people think in the office, isn't it? When you listen to what people are saying. And I heard a few people saying that they had a Kindle and they were looking at getting these, and it wasn't because they wanted a tablet. It was because they had a Kindle and they were looking at these as being the next generation of Kindle that also does other stuff, rather than just being a generic sort of tablet like how perhaps we think of them. So you can see that they're hitting a different market.
Sorry, I got mute. It really is the classic upsell market, isn't it? You start off with something like the Kindle, which is just sold, in the however many numbers it's sold, and then when people start to look for something to replace that, oh look, there's a Kindle Fire. Yeah,
I think they're going to do well with these. I know at least 2 people in my office at work who have got Kindles who are now going to get one of those, one of the Fires, the 7-inch Fire. Whereas I showed them the Nexus and they weren't interested. So even though they effectively do the same thing,
I mean, I'd be interested in looking at getting one for my wife to replace her Kindle. My only concern would be the reading experience, because that is kind of 90% of her usage. Obviously, it's all on the Kindle, but on the next device, it would be still 90% reading probably to start off with.
I've started to do a lot of reading on the Nexus 7 because it's a similar size, physical size to the Kindle, and because you've got the Whisper Sync as well. I tend to, whichever devices I'm next to when I want to read, I just use that one, and the Nexus is actually, I've used that quite a lot. So I'm getting good value out of the Nexus. And Rich says he prefers the Nexus 7 over the Kindle Fire. I agree. I think the Nexus is a more of an enthusiast product, though, because it's not locked down to any ecosystem. It's a pure Android device, and it's a bit more open. So I think that gives you that option. Whereas I think for a lot of general consumers, they are happy with the Kindle Fire and the Kindle and the Amazon brand. And he says, of course, there'll be a 7-inch iPad announced tomorrow. I'm not sure they will. I'm not sure. Do you think they will?
I have no idea. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of changes, isn't there, in the kind of as Apple moves forward. It was always said that there should be no such thing as a 7-inch tablet, but I can certainly see, given the rise of the things like the Nexus 7 and the Kindle Fire and whatever Microsoft might have at their sleeve, that there might come a point where they need to.
It's certainly the whole. 12 months ago, you had the iPad, or even 6 months ago, really, you had the iPad, and then you had some expensive Android devices, and you had some cheap Android devices. And the cheap ones, the best of, were like the Andy Pad, and some of the worst ones were terrible. And then you had like the Samsung ones, which were I think the Tab was the same price as the iPad, and really didn't have all the features. So 6 months ago, there wasn't a huge amount of choice. Now you've got the Kindles and the Nexus and iPads, and there's a lot more choice of devices. And then of course you've got the Surface as well. So I think it's going to be a very busy Christmas with choosing these devices. Are you going to get one of each and then return them all?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I'm really hoping to get a Surface. If not a Surface, then I really want a Windows RT device, and it's kind of been I haven't had a chance yet, but I've got one of the Samsung Galaxy Tab 2 sitting on my desk to have a play around with. I just kind of initially set one up and wasn't overly impressed with Android, but I don't think it's fair to judge it based on a setup process. So I'm looking forward to having a bit of a play around with that, and who knows.
The one reason I think for the Nexus as well is because the Jelly Bean Android experience is better than the Samsung's TouchWiz experience, because I've also got the Note and the Nexus 7, and I do wish I just had the Note with the sort of the standard Android on it and not the sort of the Samsung's layer on top of it. So I think maybe side by side, if you compare the Nexus 7 and the Tab, then I think the Nexus 7 has a nicer experience without that Samsung's sort of additional layer on it. But I think they're nice devices, but yeah, they're certainly not a Surface, are they?
No, and I think in many ways that kind of what puts me off Android is that unless you get something like the Nexus 7, it's so hard to know you're getting a pure Android experience, and is based on the device, is it better to have a pure Android experience, or is it better to have a customized one? It's the old, going back to the old Windows Mobile argument, isn't it, about how everyone skinned it differently, and sometimes it made it better and sometimes it made it worse. But when you're trying to find a device, it is in many ways so much more reassuring to have an ecosystem like iOS or Windows Phone, where you're not having to choose the interface, you're just choosing the device that you like.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's a good point. That I think Android is a bit like that Windows Phone thing, where you had the base Windows Phone and then all these layers on top of it, and it kind of just dragged Windows Phone down in the end, I think, really. Whereas, so we should say Windows Mobile. Windows Phone has the clean experience, and that's what I like about the Nexus 7. Right, so some other topics I wanted to touch on. Good news for Media Center users looking at remote controls. We talk about remote controls quite often on the show. Seaton have released their remote control companion apps for Windows Media Center. So Seaton being one of the few companies really doing any development Windows Media Center and supporting Windows Media Center. In fact, they're doing more than Microsoft, definitely a lot more than Microsoft.
Yeah.
At least they're not trying to kill it. So I've seen these apps in the beta stage. I actually saw them first at CES in January, but they've launched the iOS, Android, and this week as well. I think they launched the Windows Phone app as well.
Yeah, I think Seaton are just doing an amazing job with, the tuners in the States, the cable card tuners, and all these add-ons. And I have to say, the only thing that stopped me playing around with these is at some point within the next month, I'm going to be hopefully when Windows 8 is available with Media Center, I'm going to be blitzing our PC and reinstalling it. So I don't want to put in the effort of setting all this stuff up and then have to go all about it all over again. So I'm definitely going to be trying this once I start rebuilding our internal IT infrastructure.
Yeah, actually, I'm probably the same thing. And we'll talk about DV Link in a minute, but I'm just about to blow away one of my Media Center machines, and you just don't want to go to the effort of setting it all up and then have to do it again. So I know what you mean, but I think the Seaton apps are, I think they're around £3 each. I think, depending on which version, which platform you're going for, and you need the server app, which is free. And you can do remote control, and you can browse the EPG, and there's a whole range of stuff. Definitely, if you're looking for a remote control solution for a smartphone, then definitely have a look at the Seaton's apps. So I'll include a link for that show notes. Definitely good work that Seaton have been doing.
That's an interesting pricing model, isn't it? Not charging for the server, but charging for the apps. Because, if you're a family that's got a single ecosystem, then it's quite a cheap option. But if you're a family that's maybe got iOS and Android, and you kind of buying the apps multiple times, it's interesting to know. I think they've done the right thing, but it's an interesting way.
Yeah,
it
seems to be quite a few do that way. I suppose the other hand to look at it is you could have a few Media Center machines, and you only have to pay for the client, because I think it does connect to multiple machines. So if you've got 2 or 3 Media Center machines, one app purchase could control those.
Yeah, I really, really hope their extender comes over here. I think it'll be difficult, kind of import taxes and all that, and trying to find a reseller. But I would love to see that come over here.
Yeah, so would I. I think it was a Q, wasn't it? They were calling that. When I saw it at CS, I was impressed with it. So yeah, hopefully they will. It's good to see that the apps are available worldwide as well, and they're not just US only. Now, the other thing I want to mention is this one might be for to talk about when Gary's back, although I think Danglis could talk about this one as well, is DV Link 4.51 has been released, and it adds XBMC support. So it means you can watch TV, recorded TV, live TV, and browse the EPG from XBMC. And this is what should be interesting, because I'd love to get this working in a Raspberry Pi, because I'd like to get my Media Center machine, get DV Link installed on my Media Center machine, share out the tuners and network tuners, and then be able to do the rest of it from the XBMC on the Raspberry Pi. I think that would be a nice sort of way of getting an extender from it. So this is the first part of it. I haven't tried it yet. So I've got the release preview on my Media Center machine, so I want to put the sort of final build on there. So I don't want to install DV Link and then format it and reinstall it. So I've not tried it yet. Anyway, all the details in the show notes. It's got the recording features and everything else built into it now, and the UI looks very nice as well. So check out the link in the show notes, and if anybody's got this set up, let me know how you're getting on with it. It's something I definitely want to give a try. And they've also updated the remote API as well this week. So that's if you want to build your own DV Link client and you want to use their APIs, I think they've been updated as well. So it includes support for recorded TV content. So just look at the chat room. So they've been chatting about DV Link. Does the remote control work? Does remote control work with the Pi? Yes, the remote control. I got the Media Center remote working with the Raspberry Pi on XBMC. I'll try and remember to include a link in the show notes. I did do a post about it a while ago. The buttons can't be mapped or I couldn't get the buttons to map, and some things don't work, like the back button doesn't work. So I think if I remember right, the transport controls worked, the arrow controls definitely worked, but the OK button, the back button, didn't work. Enter works. So I found it a bit limiting on what you can do with it. But I think if we could just get the mapping right, then I think you could build a nice little extender even with the standard remote.
Yeah, definitely.
I did notice some people using little keyboards as well with the Raspberry Pi. That's probably a better way of doing it if you can't get the remote working. I've got a VidaBox one, but I've seen some really tiny ones, sort of smartphone-sized keyboards, which would work quite nicely over Wi-Fi or whatever wireless protocol they use. Right, just a couple of things before we finish. HP announced some new devices. I think we talked about the notebooks and ultrabooks last week. This week they announced the all-in-ones. I don't know if you've seen the very Mac-like Spectre one device that they launched.
Yes, that does look quite smart. Just reading your information, it's a shame it doesn't have a touchscreen. That seems quite amazing. I guess maybe to do with the thickness of the screen or something.
I think so, yeah. There's two devices. I think there's the 23-inch thin one, which looks like an iMac, and then there's a 23-inch Touch Smart one, which has got touchscreen on. I really like my Touch Smart that I've got, and it works great on Windows 8. So I think these will be even better because it's got the Edge UI.
Yeah, I've I mean, my parents and my brother ended up getting them a Touch Smart, and kind of tempted to upgrade them to Windows 8, but I'm not entirely sure they would thank me for it. given mostly they would live on the desktop, but I just want to do it just to try it out.
It does work well, and I think we said the other week that things like iTunes and Zune software, which on the Windows 7 were pretty difficult to control with the touch. They do work better under Windows 8, even though the apps have not changed themselves. So Windows 8 definitely works better on a touchscreen by a long way. So yeah, but yeah, it looks nice though because it's got the Spectre one has got that sort of multi-touch trackpad, gesture pad, I suppose you could call it. It looks very nice.
Interesting to see NFC as well.
Yeah, you just put your phone up to it and
yeah.
Which is what, yeah. There's no device. I don't think there's any phones that really support that yet, is there?
No, not yet. Maybe if Microsoft would announce some release dates, we could start to look forward to that.
Yeah. But the touch one looks really nice. So I think that it's a nice looking machine. I know a lot of people have been quite critical of the HP and saying, "Oh, they look like the Macs," but sometimes elegant design is, people find the best elegant design, and that's the way that the market goes then.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
A couple of things I'll mention. ATV Flash for the Apple TV version 2 is out. So if you've got an Apple TV, you can do more things. There's a combined media view and new searching, and syncing as well, kind of whisper sync for Apple TV, so you can sync where you're up to with content and whether it's been played or not. So that's for the black version 2 Apple TV. The current one can't be jailbroken at the moment, so it doesn't work on that one. It's taking people a while to get that one to actually jailbroke. The others seem to be done quite quickly, but this is taking a fair amount of time. Oh, and we should mention as well, you touched on it earlier on, the Lumia 920 is coming to the UK first with the rebranded Everything Everywhere, now called EE, and their 4G network.
That's just EE. That seems a very strange brand. I saw their logo. It just didn't make sense. But anyway, but yeah, no, I'm a T-Mobile customer, so it'd be nice to see that coming through. If I can get a nice Nokia Lumia 920 and my contract's due for renewal in 20 days, then that'd be quite nice.
Yeah, with 4G.
Yes, although very limited rollout. I think there was about five cities, I think, where it's going to be available.
It's going to be a while.
I think me living out in the rural sticks, it's going to be a long time before I start to enjoy those kinds of speeds. I think I'd just be happy with my broadband getting updated. I don't really want 4G. Yeah,
I'm the same. As you can tell by the bandwidth problem we had earlier on. Give me more bandwidth. That's all I want for the home. Yeah. So final thing I want to mention is we've got the iPhone announcement tomorrow. I know you're not a big iPhone fan. So what do you think we'll see tomorrow?
A new phone.
Yep. In fact, it was yesterday. If anybody's listening to this on Thursday.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And it's I think it's gonna. I haven't followed too many rumors. I've seen a few things, and there's lots of talk about the iPhone 5 being bigger. And I think, to be honest, they're going to have to do something. They can't keep rolling out these 3.7 or 3.8 inch devices. Yeah, I mean it's tiny. We were holding an iPhone 4 today next to the HTC HD7, and it just looks absolutely tiny.
Mm.
So yes, I just think whatever they launch, they're going to have a pre-order page up, and people are going to be really, really excited about it.
Yeah,
and I think, and they do set the benchmark at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think we'll see 4G, maybe NFC, new dock connector, a new screen, and that'll be enough to sell a billion other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The next million iPhones.
Yeah. One more thing to mention as well is the news group is coming up close now. I think so. It's September 22nd, and we've got some prizes. We're winning Raspberry Pi and cases and DV Link software and other stuff. So make sure you get your ticket, get it booked, so we know you're coming, and we'll see you up there on the 22nd. But in the meantime, we should be back here next Tuesday at 8 p.m. UK time. Andrew did say he will try and get back. He was planning to get back tonight, but I think the rail network let him down. So we shall be back with him next week, and Gary might be back. So we might have 4 of us next week. You never know.
Yeah, that'd be really, really good. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't make the meetup. I'm really disappointed, but current situation, I just can't afford to go up there. So.
Yeah, that's no problem. We'll try and get some recording stuff done. And Douglas asked which bar we're going to. Yes, we're not going to my house. I don't think that'll go down too well. I think we'll be at the Travel Lodge down the road.
Is there going to be a live stream?
Well, considering they've got similar bandwidth issues that we've got, I seem to have here, probably not. Although we might try and do something. You never know. Gary's got some routers, I think, that he might be able to try. So you never know. We might try and get a live stream. I'll definitely get some recording and try and get some stuff up there. So thanks very much, Jace, for joining me tonight.
No, thanks, Ian. It's been good as always.
Yeah. So give us your. I didn't mention last week. So what's your Twitter so we can find you?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Database Jace.
Yeah. Great stuff. And so we'll see you again next week.
Yep. Looking forward to it.
Well, thanks to everybody in the chat room. Busy chat room tonight.
A drunk chat room, I think.
I think so, yeah. Right, I'm going to stop the recording, the stream.